You know that feeling, that little inkling that maybe, just maybe, your thoughts can actually change the world around you? It sounds like pure sci-fi, right? But what if it's not? Today we're diving deep into this mind-bending connection between our consciousness and, well, the entire physical universe. And this quote from Jim Carrey, it's the perfect jumping off point. Because let's be honest, we all know this instinctively, don't we? That our attitude, our energy, it has a real, tangible effect on the people around us. But here's the big question. What if that effect doesn't just stop with people? What if it goes deeper and can actually influence the very fabric of reality itself? All right, so to really get our heads around this huge idea, let's bring it right back down to earth. We're going to start with a simple, everyday story from author Marie Forleo. It's just a story about a valet in a parking garage, but it's also a pretty powerful hint that maybe, just maybe, the universe is listening. Okay, so picture this. You pull into one of those drab, gray parking garages. You're just expecting the usual, boring transaction, right? But then, bam, you're greeted by this valet whose joy is just off the charts. It's so infectious, it's like a burst of sunshine in a concrete box. Well, that's exactly what happened to Marie Forleo. And that one little interaction, it completely flipped her day, changed her entire state of mind. It's such a perfect real-world example of how the energy we put out there creates this incredible ripple effect. So why does our attitude matter that much? Well, Forleo breaks it down beautifully. First off, it's contagious. I mean, you know that feeling when someone's good mood just kind of gets on you? That's real. It's thanks to stuff like mirror neurons in our brains. Second, it literally creates your future. The vibe you put out there changes how people react to you, which then creates this positive feedback loop. And finally, and this is the big one, it's how you make a real difference. You don't need some fancy job title to change someone's life. You just have to show up with your best, most genuine self. Okay, so this whole idea that our inner world can shape our outer world, it sounds like great self-help advice, right? A nice philosophy to live by. But what if I told you it's also the single most baffling mystery at the absolute heart of modern physics? Yeah, we're about to take a massive leap from a parking valet in LA straight to the fundamental nature of reality itself. So it really boils down to two completely opposite views of the universe, and researcher Dean Radin lays them out perfectly. On one hand, you've got the clockwork universe. This is the idea that reality is just this giant impersonal machine, and we're just cogs in it. Our consciousness, just a weird side effect of brain chemistry. But on the other hand, you have this much more radical idea that consciousness is fundamental, that our brain isn't the source of awareness, but more like a receiver, a cosmic antenna, tuning into an awareness that's woven into everything. And the main battlefield where these two massive ideas clash, it's a famously simple experiment that has been driving scientists absolutely nuts for a century. It's called the double slit experiment. And trust me, this is where reality as we know it starts to get really, really strange. Okay, buckle up, because this is where things get truly wild. So you fire tiny little particles, like electrons, at a wall with two slits in it. And here's the crazy part. When you're not looking to see which slit they go through, they act like waves. They create a pattern on the other side that proves each particle somehow went through both slits at once. I know it makes no sense. But the second you put a little detector there to watch which slit they go through, poof, everything changes. The wave pattern disappears. Suddenly they act like normal little particles going through one slit or the other. It's literally as if the universe knows it's being observed. So this freaky state of being in all possible places at once, like going through both slits, has a name. It's called superposition. The best way to wrap your head around it is to think of a spinning coin. While it's spinning in the air, is it heads or tails? Well, in a quantum sense, it's kind of both. It's only when it lands on the table, or for our particle, when we measure it, that it's forced to pick a side and become one or the other. Which, of course, brings us to the absolute core of the mystery. The question that's been haunting physicists for 100 years. How on earth does the universe know it's being watched? What is it about the simple act of looking, of measuring, that completely changes the outcome? This puzzle has led scientists down some absolutely wild rabbit holes, proposing theories that sound like they're straight out of science fiction. So how do scientists even begin to explain this? Well, they've come up with some pretty bold theories that really challenge our whole concept of reality. Let's explore three of the most fascinating ones. First up, there's something called the advanced observer model. Think about a really advanced video game. The game doesn't render the entire world all at once, right? That would take way too much processing power. It only renders the little piece of the world that you, the player, are looking at right now. Well, this model from Joseph Wong suggests that maybe reality works the same way. It's streamed to us, and it only becomes solid and real at the moment we look at it. So how would a reality-on-demand system even work? Well, the model breaks it down. First, imagine there's a kind of cosmic central server that holds all the possibilities for reality. You know, the particle going through slit 1, slit 2, both, neither, all of it. Then, this server streams these potential realities to each of us, frame by frame. And finally, our act of observing, of looking, is what forces those infinite possibilities to collapse into the one single frame of reality we actually experience. So in this model, we're not just passive observers watching a movie, we're actually helping to direct it with every single look. Okay, so that's one wild idea. But what if the answer isn't about some cosmic video game, but about a much deeper, more fundamental logic that's built into the universe itself? That brings us to our second model, a really cool concept from Ajax Van Vander called aethic reasoning. The key concept here is something he calls aethic checkmate. And the best way to think about it is like this. Imagine the universe is the world's greatest chess player. It's always thinking moves and moves ahead. And it has one unbreakable rule. It will never make a move that leads to a future where there's a logical contradiction, a paradox. It's like the universe is hardwired to avoid making a complete mess of logic. So how does this solve our double-slit mystery? Well, think about it. If you have a detector that says the particle definitely went through the left slit, and you have an interference pattern on the screen that says the particle went through both slits, you have a massive paradox. It's like saying something is both true and false at the same time. According to ethic reasoning, the universe simply won't allow that contradiction to exist. So to avoid the paradox, it collapses the wave and forces the particle to pick a side the moment you try to measure it. Problem solved, no paradox. Okay, these theories are awesome. They're mind-bending, but they're still theories, and they lead to an even bigger, more practical question. Can we actually test this? Can we design an experiment to see if our minds, our intentions, can have a direct, measurable effect on the physical world? All right, so let's get out of the world of pure theory and into the lab, into the world of actual data. Because believe it or not, researchers have been running some groundbreaking studies to put these very ideas on trial, asking that one simple, profound question. Can our intention actually change physical stuff in a way we can measure? And some of the results are, well, they're pretty stunning. Take this double-blind study on chocolate. Seriously. Led by Dean Radin, they had one group eat regular chocolate and another group eat the exact same chocolate, but this batch had been treated with positive intentions from experienced meditators. The results? The group that ate the intended chocolate reported a 67% boost in their mood. The regular chocolate group? Just 3%. And get this, for a particularly sensitive subgroup, the effect was a mind-blowing 1,000% improvement. That is not a small blip. That's a gigantic, measurable difference. And it's not just about making chocolate taste better. In another of Radin's experiments, he had seasoned meditators focus their intention on a quantum system from a distance. And they appeared to influence it. The odds against this just being random chance? 100,000 to 1. To put that into perspective for you, that's like flipping a coin and having it land on heads 17 times in a row. Statistically, that's huge. And it strongly suggests that consciousness can have a direct, measurable impact on the physical world. Okay, so let's just pause for a second. We've looked at the bizarre quantum theories, we've looked at the hard data from experiments, and it all seems to be pointing in this one pretty radical direction, that our minds are way more powerful than we typically believe. So what does that actually mean for us, for our place in the grand scheme of things? Let's zoom out for the big picture. And listen, this is not some new age wishy-washy concept. We're talking about a Nobel Prize-winning physicist, Eugene Wigner, one of the greats. And he concluded that it was impossible to even write down the laws of quantum mechanics in a consistent way without bringing consciousness into the equation. I mean, think about that. That is an enormous statement. It suggests consciousness isn't just some random accident that happened in our brains. It's a fundamental ingredient of the universe itself. So this brings us right back to that big question from the beginning, but now it has so much more weight. Are we just spectators? Are we sitting in the audience watching a cosmic movie that's already been written? Or are we something else entirely? Are we active participants helping to weave the very fabric of reality with every single thought, every intention, every observation we make? Maybe the most beautiful way to picture it comes from Dean Radin. He says to think of reality as this incredible tapestry, and it's woven from two different kinds of thread. The woof of matter and energy, the physical stuff, and the warp of mind, of consciousness. And if that's really how it is, then we're not just living in the universe, we're actively helping to create it. Which leaves us with one final, very personal question. What kind of world are you going to help weave?